are expected to be cradles where kids go to learn important skills about life and the world they live in. And this task itself is not an easy one. Parents entrust their children to teachers and school administrators, hoping that they get the right lessons and can be molded correctly. But if there's one thing we all know, it's that things don't always go the way we want them to. And for many, the insane realization that schools can be pretty crazy places on their own is beginning to hit. Over the years, we've all seen one report or another about some of the most outlandish things happening in schools, and in this video, we'll explore some of those moments, and trust me, some of them will shock you to your core. Join us as we have a look at 20 crazy school moments caught on camera. Blow the trumpet. If you're still in school or just graduated recently, there's a high chance you'd be familiar with the concept of the class clown. Basically, the person who seems to always do the silliest things in class and never really takes things seriously. Now, I know it's a common perception of class clowns that they're never serious people, and in a way it is kind of true, but you have to admit that school without them would have sucked a whole lot. Just take a look at this guy. In a serious class where everyone was seated, he decided to step in and do this. And you know what made it even worse? The guy came back in a different teaching session a few hours later and literally did it again. This was all good and fun, but I feel like that people like this definitely need to get checked. Who the heck enters a class and just starts causing such a disruption? Quick flash. Normally, school libraries are supposed to be places where you go to read and get some knowledge about a concept you've not heard before, but for this lady, the library is simply a place to get a little bit kinky. In this next clip, we see a person who discovered that she was alone in the school library and decided to give the webcam a little more than it bargained for. Now, honestly, I've got to say the boldness of some people is insane. If you decide to get kinky, why not just do that at home or in the comfort of your own room? Just spare a thought for the security personnel who would have had to see that. Teaching commitment. Here's another interesting hope. Back in school, everyone probably had a favorite teacher. These were those that you loved listening to and who pretty much made learning fun for you. In most cases, your favorite teacher would be that one person that you always had fun with. Perhaps they cracked a few jokes in class, or maybe they were just generally chill, who always made class sessions interactive. Then there are the teachers who are so committed to their work that even they get into character. Take this man, for example. He was captured explaining an emergency situation to his students, and he got so deep into character that he literally busted out a James Bond move.
Do I think of myself first? Or do I...
Bieber fever. Have you ever stopped for a moment to think about where we would be without earphones or AirPods? I mean, just think about it. You'd have to listen to everyone's favorite songs, even in public. The beauty of earphones is that they give us privacy when listening to our favorite songs, and this is especially important because sometimes you just don't want your people finding out that you're listening to Justin Bieber's Baby. But then again, earphones don't always come through.
Oh, sorry, they weren't plugged in.
Now, I understand the guy's embarrassed and all, but you just have to ask, is there really anything against listening to the Biebs? I mean, if our guy over here is feeling in love, why not let him express that with music? This guy gets no amount of shaming from me. Swing and a miss. Personally, one of my favorite classes in high school was physics. I liked it mostly because I'm a huge nerd, but also because my physics teacher was super into experiments. And trust me, anything the man wanted to explain, he designed an experiment and show it to us. And in more ways than one, that definitely made the entire learning more fun for me. Now, I know a lot of teachers love designing experiments to help pass a point across, but as you can imagine, they don't always get along so well. In this next clip, we see a simple experiment where a physics teacher was trying to explain the concept of force to his students, And to do this, he brought in a block made of cement and an axe and tried to smash it, while another man laid underneath the block and held it up straight.
1, 2, 3, let me know. 2, 3.
That's right, the teacher literally missed his swing and ended up clipping the other guy right in the moneymaker. Fortunately, he would not be injured, and the teacher was able to give the swing another go.
All right, take that off.
You know, I really don't get why they needed the man to lay down underneath the block. Why couldn't they have just held the block in place and smashed it easily? Why put his moneymaker at risk in the end? Fire hazard. Speaking of science experiments gone wrong, you should check out this next clip, which shows the moment that a chemistry teacher apparently got a bit more than he bargained for after trying to display an experiment showing chemical reactions between substances. Now, ideally, the reaction here was supposed to create a simple spark and wow the students, but it looks like the teacher got his calculations wrong. Now, you got your spark. Are you happy? Apparently, the guy wasn't done showing off, though. The only problem was that his show-off act kind of backfired in the most spectacular way possible. Not to worry, though, the fire was not so crazy, and the teacher was quickly able to wheel the entire thing out before it got out of hand. It looks like you still need a little time to practice, though, my friend. Stability issues. Now, if there's one profession that I would never consider doing, it would be teaching little preschool children. These people take children off their parents for a few hours and pretty much have to take care of them. But the work of a preschool teacher can be really difficult. If you think about it, a lot of these kids are used to throwing tantrums, and for you to get them organized, you pretty much have to scatter the entire classroom with toys and other objects that can be dangerous to you. Just take this lady, for example. She was teaching a preschool class and literally lost her balance because the entire class was just so disorganized. Fortunately, she only tripped and fell and didn't sustain any injuries, but you kind of get what I mean. If there's anyone who deserves a raise, it is surely the preschool teacher. Tying the knot. Now, I know there's a general rule amongst workplaces where coworkers are not really supposed to date each other. Personally, I get why the rule's in place in most workplaces, although I also kind of believe that people should be free to date whomever they wish. How else would we have gotten this cute moment? At an elementary school in Ohio in 2017, this beautiful moment would be captured when Jason Seifert, a senior teacher at the school, had popped the question.
Miss Barker and I are dating, because I had a couple kids come up to me at recess today.
Now, you're a little bit more than dating, are you? Well, Mr. Seifert, what do you have cooking for us?
We are a little bit more than dating because I am completely in love with her.
Wow, is it getting hot in here? Because these guys are steaming. Anyways, after a little bit of fooling around, he finally gets to the real meat of the matter. And it seems to turn out very cute. With all the commotion, it would have almost been criminal if she did not say yes, but congratulations to the lovebirds anyways. Let the man talk. For most people, being selected valedictorian at a high school graduation ceremony is an incredible honor. It's basically a sign that you've managed to rise to the very top of your class and you're amongst the best of the best. And when the time comes to give your speech, you had better have something very cool prepared. For some people, the chance to make a valedictorian speech also provides an opportunity to shed light on a few issues that are really plaguing the school. And Peter Butera is one such person. Back in June of 2017, Peter would be selected to give the speech at the Wyoming Area High School, and instead of grabbing the mic and filling his classmates with hope for the future, he decided to turn towards the school authorities and really take him to the cleaners.
Despite some of the outstanding people in our school, the lack of a real student government, combined with the authoritative attitude that a few teachers, administrators, and board members have, prevents students from truly developing as leaders.
Of course, the school couldn't have this, and instead of letting him speak and air out his concerns, they decided to cut off his mic and send him off the stage. It would be obvious that Butera's comments resonated with everyone else at the school, and as he walked off the stage, they literally stood up and gave him a standing ovation. He did eventually get the chance to finish his speech a few weeks later after being invited to the Jimmy Kimmel Show, and there he didn't have to deal with any pesky teachers trying to cut off his mic. Good job, Peter. Remember to always speak your truth. The pursuit of success. If there's one thing that we can all agree is never cool, it's cheating on a test. I mean, I get why most people do it, but that desperation doesn't mean that the act itself is right. For most people, cheating on a test takes a different form. For some, it's sneaking a few notes, while for others, it's trying to ask for answers. But I don't think I've ever seen a move as sleek as this young lady.
What is this? What do you mean you don't have phone? Where's the phone? Sit down if I see you turn. What is this?
So first off, she got a pair of AirPods and put them under her wig. The same wig which, mind you, she literally had a phone stuck under. That's some CIA-level stuff right there. Basically, the wig was like a cloak of invisibility. I mean, what else did she even have there? A house? I mean, what the heck? If I was that teacher, I would be very furious. Honestly, she could be expelled immediately for that. Cheating on a test is one thing, but she took it to the absolute limit. Just follow instructions. Working as a teacher can be frustrating sometimes. You try too hard to make sure your students get a concept, but they decide to do the exact opposite of what you're asking them to do. Things get much worse when you're teaching a subject like math. Math has a lot of rules that need to be followed, and if your students decide not to follow what you say, they can easily get the answers wrong. The teacher in this next clip got so frustrated while trying to explain a concept to his students that he let his frustrations out in the funniest way.
Nothing so funny, you guys like banging your heads on the table laughing. What's so funny?
Apparently, the students were just having fun with the guy and said that they would solve the equation without using the method he recommended. This guy got so angry that he almost blew a fuse. The poor guy, he must have been having such a rough day. A noble journey. School is a place where you go to learn, and in many cases, the lessons you actually take are more than just things like math, history, and science. Sometimes you learn lessons about life as well, and this instance definitely counts as one of those lessons. 2 years ago, Noble Haskell, a high school cross-country athletic star at Smoky Hill High School in Aurora, Colorado, was well on his way to dominating his sport. But all of that changed when he went on a summer trip with a few of his friends, and after suffering a terrible accident, he was left paralyzed from his neck down. It looked as though he would never be able to use his limbs again. But just 2 years later, Noble was back on his feet, and not only that, he managed to walk on his own to receive his graduate diploma. Noble's journey was one of perseverance and hope, and just the same way that they would cheer him on before his accident, you could hear the crowd giving him all the support and love he needed as he took what could have easily been the most important walk of his life. While you might think that in and of itself is pretty impressive, Noble said on graduation day that he wasn't done. He explained that he still wanted to take some of the lessons he learned and use them until he was able to run again on his own. And I, for one, am fully behind the guy. A step too far. Now this is one situation I think is well up for debate. Back in 2021, this story went incredibly viral. At John W. North High School in Southern California, a woman apparently got into big trouble after a clip of her went viral online where she was doing a Native American dance in front of her students. One of the students had actually recorded the incident and then posted it online as a joke, but people caught up with it and the situation became less funny very quickly. Protesters would gather in front of the school only a few days later, claiming that the woman had been racially insensitive to Native Americans and that the dance she was doing was unacceptable. While at the same time, there were a lot of people who actually came to her defense, claiming that she was just doing her best to make the class more engaging and get through to her students. She was eventually put on administrative leave, which is a nice way of saying the school fired her. But what do you actually think about this one? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments section down below. No snoozing. Look, we've all fallen victim to the call of nature in public once or twice, and when it comes to school, it's pretty easy to fall asleep. If you think about it, you've been going through class after class, and when you get a few moments to yourself, you then decide to just nod off quickly to recharge your batteries. Well, here's the thing though, if you do that while you're in the middle of class and your classmates choose to take advantage, you may end up as an unwitting member of a viral moment on social media. Take this poor kid for example. He decided to go to sleep in the middle of class and his mates played a funny joke on him. Sure, it might not have been anything physically harmful, but come on, have a little sympathy for the guy. The poor guy just wanted to have some shut-eye, and you guys literally turned him into a meme, which is not cool at all. Although on the other hand, you do have to admit, it was also pretty funny. Drop it low. This is one trend you may not be aware of if you're a Gen Zer, but over the years there's been real hype around twerking, a trend that involves shaking your derriere to a beat. And while women have generally been the ones to take charge of the twerking trend, the guys are also making some interesting waves. Apparently, the twerk phenomenon is pretty gender agnostic, and if you're a guy who's got the back for it, well, you can twerk as well. Take this guy, for example, who decided to give the entire crowd a twerking tease as he walked to receive his diploma after graduating high school. Now honestly, I don't think I have any words here. Everything was done perfectly, from the walk to the trip to the recovery and eventual twerk, so it's a good job. I'm sure your mother must be so proud of you. Dress like a student day. If you attended a school where the teachers were pretty cool, trust me, you were one of the lucky ones of your generation. I know that schools are supposed to be places of learning and seriousness, but I think it's important to have some fun every once in a while. Earlier this year, a clip would go viral showing what appeared to be a fun exercise by teachers who came to school dressed as the students. Now apparently the school celebrates an annual Dress Like a Student Day, and these were the entries for that particular year. You know, I'm actually not at all upset at this one. If anything, the exercise captures the divide between different generations. We young people may think of our teachers as being uncool for how they dress, but I'm pretty sure they also look at some of today's fashions and ask themselves what the heck they're even looking at. All in all, it was pretty cool to see. No shooting day. These days, there's one major issue plaguing schools across the country, and that is shootings. It's almost like everywhere you look, there's a school shooting somewhere, and for many parents, the trend can be truly disturbing. However, some school shooting attempts have also brought out the heroes in teachers. One such man would be Keenan Lowe, a high school football coach who got national praise after footage showed him disarming a student who had walked into a school hall with a loaded shotgun. According to reports, the kid had walked into the school on that day with clear intentions of wreaking havoc, and in fact, the meetup wasn't even supposed to happen. The coach was on a different wing of the school entirely, and he only came to that building because he was told to go get a student. Little did he know that he'd have to stop a shooting attempt. Nobody knows how he managed to calm the student down, but the coach was able to disarm him and hold him until security got there. It was a truly touching moment, and one that's sure to live on in the minds of everyone involved for quite a long time. If not for the timely intervention of the coach, things may have well ended up very badly at that school. Taking notes. These days, advancements in technology have made it pretty easy for all of us to take notes while in class. Instead of having to listen to everything a professor says, you just get out your laptop or even a recording device and you take notes, or you can go over them in your spare time. But what happens when your professor bans laptops in class? Well, if you're like this guy, you immediately take initiative and work around the problem. And you know what? I dig what the guy was trying to do. After all, the professor had banned laptops, but he didn't say anything about typewriters. So why not just get a typewriter instead? It's technically not a laptop in the end. Also, I'm not really sure why laptops were banned in class, but I'm pretty sure the typewriter must have caused even more of a nuisance than any laptop could have done. Guess that professor must have been feeling pretty silly at that moment. Phone smash. Every once in a while, we see people throw some pretty insane tantrums when they go into classrooms. You may think that this is only limited to students, but teachers do just as well. Take this situation, for example.
Because you're not supposed to have your phone out!
Apparently, the teacher had gotten so frustrated with his job and the fact that his students were using their phones that he just decided to smash this one. Now, you may think it was a bit excessive, but I beg to differ. She knew that she wasn't supposed to be using her phone in class, so why do it? Was there some sort of emergency she had to attend to? Perhaps next time, you don't want your teacher smashing your phone, so just don't use it in class. Daddy's girl. For the men and women who serve in the military, one of the biggest challenges is being away from their families for so long. But every now and again, we see a military man come back home and give his family a sweet surprise. In 2015, this video went viral on the internet, showing the moment when Petty Officer First Class James Brown surprised his little daughter after being away from her for 8 months. Officer Brown's daughter had been at a competition in school, but he managed to give her the cutest of surprises.
Walks up on stage, opening the box to reveal her prize.
And if you look at the emotion on her face as she hugs her daddy, it is quite heartwarming. It's bringing a tear to my eyes as we speak. Now, there's no doubt that schools these days have drastically changed from what they used to be, and after seeing some of these clips, you kind of have to argue whether or not change has been for better or for worse. Anyways, which of these clips did you find most interesting? As usual, you can share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Be sure you subscribe so you never miss a good video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.